Happiness is a choice, not a chance. Many of us live under the illusion that happiness will just come to us one day when the stars align, when circumstances improve, when the world finally gives us what we think we deserve. But the truth is, if you keep waiting for perfect conditions, you may spend an entire lifetime waiting because life is never perfect. There will always be some problem to solve, some challenge to face, some dream left unfulfilled. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It is the decision to focus on what is good, even in the presence of problems. The moment you understand this, life begins to change. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your inner state. Think of an ordinary morning. Two people wake up to the same weather. Let's say it is raining heavily outside. One person sighs, complains about how the day is ruined, worries about traffic, and feels frustrated. Another person looks at the same rain, smiles, makes a hot cup of tea, enjoys the sound of raindrops, and thanks God for the freshness it brings. The situation is the same, but the choice of perception is different. One chose misery, the other chose happiness. That is the power of choice. Happiness is very much like wearing a pair of glasses. If your glasses are tinted dark, even a bright sunny day will look gloomy. If your glasses are clear and bright, even an average day looks beautiful. Our attitude is that glass. If you put on the lens of gratitude, you will see blessings everywhere. If you put on the lens of complaint, you will see problems everywhere. And the beautiful part is, you get to choose which lens you wear every single day. We all know people who have very little yet smile from the heart, and others who seem to have everything yet are always complaining. Why is that? Because happiness has never been about possessions or positions. It has always been about perception. A poor man who eats a simple meal with gratitude can be far happier than a rich man dining on delicacies with a restless mind. The richness of your bank balance doesn't decide the richness of your heart. There's a story of two brothers who grew up in the same difficult home. Their father was an alcoholic, often violent, and life was tough. One brother grew up and became successful, joyful, and compassionate. The other brother grew up bitter, angry, and self-destructive. When asked why their lives turned out so differently, both gave the same answer: because of my father. One chose to learn resilience and empathy from hardship. The other chose to absorb pain and spread it further. Same father, same home, same challenges, but different choices. This is a reminder that happiness is never about what happens to you. It is always about how you respond. When we understand that happiness is a choice, we begin to reclaim our power. We stop saying, "You make me unhappy," or "This situation is making me miserable." Nobody can make you unhappy without your permission. Circumstances can hurt, people can disappoint, life can test you. But what you do with that hurt, disappointment, and test is entirely in your hands. You can either let it break you or let it build you. You can either drown in sorrow or rise in strength. That choice belongs to you, and in that choice lies your happiness. In daily life, you can practice this by starting with small decisions. For example, when you are stuck in traffic, you can either complain, honk, and get irritated, or you can use the time to listen to uplifting music, call a loved one, or simply reflect quietly. When someone criticizes you, you can either feel insulted and angry, Or you can pause and think if there's something valuable to learn, and if not, simply let it go. These little daily choices, repeated consistently, form the habit of happiness. Some people say, but Swamiji, isn't happiness just an emotion? How can you choose it? Happiness is not only an emotion, it is also a discipline. Just like going to the gym and training your muscles, you train your mind to see the good, to practice gratitude, to stay present. At first, it feels hard, but the more you practice, the stronger your mental muscle becomes. Eventually, choosing happiness becomes natural. Life will always give us reasons to be upset. Someone will hurt us, something won't go our way, some dream will take longer than expected. But alongside those reasons, life also gives us countless reasons to smile: health, family, friends, opportunities, the beauty of nature, the little joys that surround us daily. The tragedy is not that happiness is absent. The tragedy is that we are not looking in the right direction. If we shift our gaze, happiness is right there, waiting to be noticed. So, happiness is not a lottery ticket you hope to win someday. It is not luck, it is not chance. It is a conscious choice you make every morning when you wake up. You may not control the length of your life, but you certainly control the depth of your joy. You may not control the weather, but you control whether you carry sunshine in your heart. You may not control how people treat you, but you control how you treat yourself. Remember this: you don't stumble upon happiness, you create it. You don't wait for it, you choose it. And when you keep choosing it every day, you don't just live a life, you live a joyful life. Happiness is a choice, not a chance. Stop postponing happiness. This is something that almost all of us are guilty of in some way. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get that job, or I'll be happy when I graduate, or I'll be happy when I buy my own house, when I get married, when I travel abroad, when I earn more money. The list is endless. But the problem is, once one milestone is achieved, the mind quickly shifts the target to the next milestone, and again happiness is delayed. Life becomes like a train journey where you keep waiting for the last station while ignoring the beautiful scenery outside the window. The truth is, if we always postpone happiness for some future event, we will never truly experience it, because the future never ends. It always keeps moving further away. Think about a student preparing for exams. He tells himself, once exams are over, I will finally relax and be happy. Exams end, results come, then he says, I will be happy when I get admission into a good university. Then after entering the university, he says, happiness will come once I graduate. Then comes the job hunt, and the same cycle continues. By the time he actually has the degree, the job, and the salary, he has already postponed happiness for so long that he doesn't know how to enjoy the present. This cycle goes on till the end of life, unless one decides to break it consciously. Life is not meant to be lived only at the finish line. Imagine someone running a marathon. If the runner keeps thinking, I'll only smile after I cross the finish line, he misses the entire experience of running, the cheers of the crowd, the joy of movement, the excitement of being part of something bigger. Yes, the finish line matters, but so does every step along the way. Happiness is not only in reaching the destination, it is also in enjoying the journey. Postponing happiness is like storing away your favorite chocolates in the fridge, waiting for some perfect occasion to eat them. Days pass, months pass, and by the time you remember, they've melted or expired. Many people do the same with happiness. They keep waiting for the perfect moment, but life keeps moving forward. If you don't taste happiness now, you may discover later that you wasted precious years waiting for conditions that never truly existed. Let me give you a real life example. A man once worked day and night, telling his family, "Let me just work hard now, and once I retire, we will enjoy life together." He sacrificed holidays, family dinners, and even his health for that dream. Finally, after 35 years of service, he retired. But sadly, his health was gone, his children had grown distant, and his wife had passed away. He had the money, he had the time, but happiness slipped away because he kept postponing it. The lesson here is clear. If you do not learn to be happy now, no amount of money or success can guarantee it later. Happiness is not something that appears magically in the future. It is something you cultivate in the present. If you are not practicing happiness in your small, ordinary days, it will not suddenly appear in your extraordinary days. If you cannot enjoy a simple cup of tea with gratitude, you will not enjoy a 5-star dinner either. If you cannot smile while walking in your neighborhood, you will not smile even while walking on the streets of Paris. It is never the place or the event that creates happiness. It is the attitude of the heart. We all have a habit of chasing someday. We say, "Someday I will travel. Someday I will relax. Someday I will enjoy with my family." But what if that someday never comes? Life is unpredictable. We don't know how much time we truly have. So why not choose to be happy today? Why not decide that even in the middle of responsibilities, struggles, and challenges, we will still make room for joy? This doesn't mean we stop working hard or stop planning for the future. It simply means we don't delay happiness until the future arrives. It means celebrating small wins along the way, enjoying small moments, and appreciating the present. For example, instead of saying, "I'll be happy when I buy a car," you can be happy today for the bus ride where you meet new people or enjoy fresh air. Instead of saying, "I'll be happy when I buy a house," you can be grateful today for the roof over your head, however small it may be. Instead of saying, "I'll be happy when I get a promotion," you can feel happiness today for the opportunity to learn, grow, and earn your bread. Happiness is not a reward for achieving something. It is the fuel that makes the journey worth taking. If you wait for happiness, you'll keep pushing it further into the future. If you embrace happiness now, you'll carry joy with you into the future. The truth is, every stage of life has its unique beauty. Childhood has its magic, youth has its energy, middle age has its wisdom, and old age has its peace. If you keep saying, "I'll be happy later," you will miss the gift of the season you are in today. So stop postponing happiness. Don't wait for the perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect house, or the perfect moment. Perfection is an illusion. Happiness is available right here, right now, in the midst of imperfections. Smile today, laugh today, be grateful today, because today is the only day you really have. Tomorrow is a hope, yesterday is a memory, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Comparison kills joy. This simple truth is something we experience almost every single day, but we hardly pay attention to it. The moment we start comparing ourselves with others, we begin to lose sight of our own blessings. Instead of celebrating what we have, we start feeling small because someone else has something more, something better, or something different. And just like that, the joy we could have felt is stolen away, not because our life is lacking, but because our eyes are focused on what others are doing. Imagine this: a man buys a new car after saving money for years. He drives it home with pride, full of excitement and gratitude. For a moment, his heart is filled with joy, but the very next week, his neighbor pulls in with a bigger, more luxurious car. Suddenly, the first man feels dissatisfied. What happened? Did his car change? No. Did his effort lose value? No. What changed was his mind. Comparison replaced gratitude, and joy disappeared. This is how comparison robs us. Comparison is like a thief that sneaks into your heart and steals your happiness. You could be enjoying your job until you notice someone younger getting promoted faster. You could be proud of your achievements until you scroll on social media and see someone traveling to exotic places or living a lifestyle that seems more glamorous. And instead of feeling happy for them, your mind whispers, "Why not me?" That one thought is enough to poison your contentment. The truth is, life was never designed to be a race against others. Each one of us is running our own marathon with a different starting point, different challenges, and different destinations. Comparing your chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 20 will only make you miserable. It's like comparing a seed with a fully grown tree. Both are important, both have potential, but they are at different stages of the journey. If the seed starts envying the tree, it forgets that one day it too will grow tall and strong in its own time. Think of students in a classroom. One student excels in mathematics, another shines in sports, another is creative in arts. If each student keeps comparing themselves to the other, they will feel inferior in the areas they lack, instead of recognizing the unique strengths they already possess. The joy of learning disappears when the focus shifts from growth to comparison. But when a student learns to appreciate their individuality, they can find happiness in their own progress. Comparison is not only unfair to yourself, it is also unfair to the person you are comparing with, because you only see the surface of their life, not the struggles behind it. Social media has made this worse. People post the highlights of their life, the vacations, the achievements, the celebrations, but not the sleepless nights and the failures or the tears. And when we compare our behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel, we are bound to feel inadequate. It's like looking at a movie poster and comparing it with the mess of your own living room. It will never feel equal because it was never meant to be. Let's take an example from daily life. A young woman looks at her friends' wedding photos online and feels sad, thinking, "She has such a perfect life, and I am still single." What she doesn't see is the challenges the married friend might be facing, the compromises, or the responsibilities. On the other hand, the married friend might look at the single woman's freedom and wish she had the same. Both are secretly comparing, both are secretly unhappy, while forgetting to appreciate what they already have. The solution is to turn comparison into inspiration. Instead of saying, Why do they have that and I don't? You can say, if they can do it, maybe I can learn from them. Use their success as motivation, not as a reason to belittle yourself. For instance, if you see someone fit and healthy, don't envy them. Let it inspire you to take better care of your own health. If you see someone excel in their career, let it encourage you to develop your skills. When comparison shifts from jealousy to inspiration, it no longer kills joy, it nurtures growth. But above all, the greatest antidote to comparison is gratitude. When you start counting your blessings, you stop counting other people's blessings. A grateful heart has no space for envy. If every night before sleeping, you simply note down 3 things you are grateful for, your focus shifts from what you lack to what you have. And where focus goes, energy flows. The more you appreciate your life, the less you feel the need to measure it against someone else's. Comparison will always whisper to you that you are not enough, but remember, you are running your own race. Someone else's success is not your failure. Someone else's progress does not mean you are behind. Life is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. If yesterday you were angry, but today you are more patient, that is progress. If yesterday you doubted yourself, but today you try again, that is growth. And in that growth lies true happiness. So, stop letting comparison kill your joy. Don't allow someone else's chapter to decide the value of your story. Learn to celebrate your own victories, however small they may seem. Smile at your journey, appreciate your pace, and be proud of your progress. Because at the end of the day, happiness is not found in being better than others. It is found in being at peace with yourself. And that peace begins the moment you stop comparing and start living. Service brings inner fulfillment. This is a truth that has been taught for centuries, but it becomes most powerful when we experience it in our daily lives. We often chase happiness through material things, money, luxury, comfort, and while these bring temporary satisfaction, the joy fades quickly. But the happiness that comes from serving others, from giving rather than taking, is deep, lasting, and soul nourishing. When we shift our focus from what can I get to what can I give, something changes inside us. We feel connected, purposeful, and content in a way that possessions can never provide. Imagine a person who spends his whole life collecting wealth, buying houses, and climbing the ladder of success. People around him may admire him, but deep inside, he may still feel a certain emptiness. On the other hand, think of a teacher who dedicates her life to shaping young minds, or a doctor who serves patients with genuine compassion. Their lives may not be filled with luxury, but their hearts carry a sense of fulfillment because they are making a difference. Service gives us something money cannot buy, the joy of significance. Even in small acts, service can transform our day. Suppose you are having a rough morning and feeling low. Then suddenly, you help an old lady cross the street, or you hold the door open for someone with a smile. That small act shifts your mood. Why? Because service takes you out of the prison of self-centeredness. When your mind is occupied only with me, mind my problems, my needs, you feel heavy. But when you do something kind for someone else, even if it's tiny, your heart feels lighter. One of the most beautiful examples comes from family life. Parents serve their children selflessly. staying awake at night, working tirelessly, sacrificing comforts. Yet when they see their child smile or achieve something, the happiness they feel is beyond measure. That joy doesn't come from what they received, but from what they gave. True fulfillment often comes wrapped inside sacrifice. Let's think of another daily example. Imagine you are walking home from work, tired and drained. You notice a stray dog shivering in the cold. If you buy some food and feed it, the wagging tail and innocent gratitude in its eyes will warm your heart instantly. That feeling stays with you far longer than the satisfaction of buying yourself a fancy coffee. This is because giving creates connection, and connection creates joy. Service also brings perspective. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed by our own problems. But when we serve someone less fortunate, we realize how blessed we already are. Visiting an orphanage or a hospital can be a powerful reminder. Suddenly, the complaints we had about slow fee, a delayed flight, or not having the latest phone seem so trivial. Service humbles us and reminds us to be grateful. There's a story of a wealthy man who was unhappy despite having everything. One day, his friend advised him to volunteer at a shelter. Reluctantly, he went. At first, he thought he was doing the people a favor by serving food. But as he spent time with them, listening to their stories, sharing smiles, he realized he was the one being healed. The gratitude in their eyes, the innocence in their laughter, gave him something his wealth never could. Slowly, his depression lifted, not because he got something new, but because he gave. Service doesn't always mean big sacrifices. It can be as simple as calling a lonely relative, mentoring a junior at work, or listening to a friend without interrupting. Sometimes people don't need money or gifts. They just need your presence, your patience, your encouragement. These are acts of service too, and they leave an imprint not only on their hearts but also on yours. In our busy lives, we often think we don't have time to serve. But service doesn't have to be an extra activity. It can be part of your everyday routine. You can serve through your work when you do it with sincerity and compassion. A doctor treating patients, a teacher educating students, an engineer building solutions. All are serving society. The question is not, am I serving? But, am I serving with love? Because service without love feels like duty, but service with love feels like joy. Another beauty of service is that it creates ripples. When you help someone, they often feel inspired to help someone else. A simple smile at a stranger can inspire them to smile at another. Paying for a meal for someone in need might motivate them to do the same when they are able. In this way, one small act can grow into a chain of kindness, touching lives far beyond what you can see, and knowing that you are part of that chain brings deep satisfaction. In contrast, when life is lived only for oneself, the heart feels empty, no matter how much is achieved. That is why so many celebrities and billionaires eventually turn to philanthropy. They realize that true joy does not come from the spotlight or the bank account, but from using their influence and resources to uplift others. Service completes what success alone cannot. So, service is not just about changing someone else's life. It's also about changing your own. It fills your heart with a sense of purpose, teaches humility, builds gratitude, and creates joy that does not fade. While pleasure is found in receiving, fulfillment is found in giving. When you leave this world, people will not remember you for what you owned, but for how you served, how you touched their hearts. Therefore, make service a part of your daily life. Do it not for recognition, not for applause, but because it makes your soul smile. And when your soul smiles, that is the truest form of happiness. Because at the end of the day, happiness is not about how much you take from the world, but about how much love you leave behind. Detach from overthinking. This is one of the greatest lessons we can learn in today's world, because our minds rarely rest. We are constantly thinking, analyzing, worrying, replaying past events, and imagining future scenarios. The human mind is a powerful tool, but when it overthinks, it becomes like a wild horse, running in every direction, dragging us along, exhausting us completely. The truth is, most of our unhappiness does not come from what actually happens in our life. It comes from the endless stories our mind creates around those events. Learning to detach from overthinking is the secret to finding peace and happiness in the middle of life's chaos. Imagine someone sends you a short message that simply says, "We need to talk." Now, instead of waiting calmly, the mind immediately begins its marathon. What went wrong? Did I upset them? Are they angry with me? Did I make a mistake at work? Are they planning to leave me? Within minutes, the mind has created 100 possible scenarios, none of which may be true. Later, when the person finally calls, it turns out they just wanted to discuss a normal plan, but by then, your peace is already stolen by the storm of overthinking. This is how the mind tricks us. Overthinking is like sitting in a rocking chair. It keeps you busy, but it takes you nowhere. You feel like you are doing something, but in reality, you are stuck in the same place. Many people waste hours, days, even years, thinking and rethinking about things that are either beyond their control or may never even happen. It is like constantly rehearsing for a play that will never be performed. Daily life gives us countless examples. You may overthink about a meeting at work, replaying every word you said, analyzing whether you sounded smart enough, whether your boss was impressed, whether your colleagues judged you. In reality, most people have already forgotten about it and moved on. But your mind is still stuck there. Or perhaps you overthink about the future. What if I lose my job? What if I fail this exam? What if my health goes bad? These what ifs are endless, and the more you feed them, the more they rob you of peace today. Detaching from overthinking does not mean you stop using your mind. It simply means you learn to observe your thoughts without drowning in them. Think of it like watching traffic from the sidewalk. Cars come and go, but you do not chase each car. Similarly, thoughts will come and go, but you do not need to chase every thought. When you detach, you become the witness of your mind instead of its prisoner. One simple way to practice this is through awareness. Whenever you notice your mind spiraling into endless what if scenarios, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it only draining me? If it is helping, act on it. If it is draining, let it go. For example, if you are worried about an exam, instead of overthinking the result, use that energy to study. Action solves problems, overthinking magnifies them. Another example comes from relationships. Suppose your friend doesn't reply to your message for hours. Your mind may create a whole story. They are ignoring me. They don't value me, maybe they are upset with me. In reality, they may just be busy or tired. By the time they reply cheerfully, you've already exhausted yourself emotionally. Detaching here means reminding yourself, until I know the truth, I will not jump to conclusions. This saves your peace and prevents unnecessary drama. Overthinking is often connected to control. We want to control every outcome, every possibility, every opinion. But life doesn't work that way. Detachment means trusting that not everything needs your analysis and control. Sometimes, you have to let life unfold on its own. Just as you cannot stop the waves of the ocean, you cannot stop every thought from coming. But you can learn to surf the waves instead of drowning in them. Take another daily scenario. You go for a job interview. After it ends, your mind may replay every answer you gave, worrying whether you said the right thing, whether they liked you, whether you will get selected. This can go on for days until the result comes. But will overthinking change the result? No. What it will change is your health, causing stress, lack of sleep, and anxiety. Detachment here means saying, I did my best. Now the result is not in my hands. That surrender frees your mind to focus on other positive things. One of the greatest truths is that the mind will always think, but you don't have to identify with every thought. Just because a negative thought comes, it doesn't mean it defines you. Just because a worry enters your mind, it doesn't mean it is real. Thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky of your mind. If you hold on to every cloud, you will never see the sun, but if you let them pass, the brightness of peace naturally appears. In practice, detachment can also come through small mindful habits. Enjoying a walk without constantly checking your phone, eating a meal while fully focusing on its taste, instead of letting the mind wander into worries, talking to a loved one while really listening instead of rehearsing what you will say next. These simple practices pull you out of the endless loops of overthinking and bring you back to the present, where happiness actually lives. So, detach from overthinking. Do not let your mind become a prison of endless what ifs and why me's. Realize that most of your worries are only stories, not realities. Train yourself to act where you can and let go where you cannot. When you stop chasing every thought, you start experiencing peace. And in that peace, happiness blossoms naturally. Balance ambition with appreciation. This is one of the most important secrets of living a happy and meaningful life. Ambition is a beautiful thing. It drives us to grow, to improve, to dream bigger. Without ambition, we would stay stuck, never exploring our full potential. But when ambition is not balanced with appreciation, it becomes dangerous. We begin to chase endlessly, running after the next milestone, the next achievement, the next possession, without ever pausing to enjoy what we already have. Life then feels like climbing an infinite ladder. No matter how high you go, you are never satisfied because there's always another step. Think of a young professional who works day and night to get promotions. He tells himself, I'll be happy when I become a manager. Once he becomes a manager, he says, I'll be happy when I become a director. When he becomes a director, he says, I'll be happy when I reach the top. And by the time he finally reaches that top, he looks back and realizes he missed his children's childhood, his parents' love, and his own health. Ambition without appreciation leads to emptiness because the journey was sacrificed for the destination, and the destination turned out to be less fulfilling than imagined. On the other hand, appreciation without ambition can make life stagnant. If someone says, "I'm happy with what I have, I don't want to grow, I don't want to try," then they may live comfortably but never discover the greatness within them. Balance is the key. Ambition makes you reach for the stars, but appreciation makes you enjoy the warmth of the sun you already have. Ambition makes you run, but appreciation makes you pause and smile. Together, they create harmony. Daily life shows us how this balance works. Imagine a student preparing for exams. If he only focuses on ambition, he may keep stressing himself, studying relentlessly without rest, comparing himself with others, and losing joy in the process. But if he balances ambition with appreciation, he will still work hard, but he will also pause to be grateful for the opportunity to learn, for the teachers guiding him, for the progress he has already made. That gratitude will give him strength instead of stress. Another example comes from family life. Parents often want their children to succeed, to get good grades, to achieve great things. This ambition is natural and comes from love. But when it is not balanced with appreciation, parents may constantly pressure their children, making them feel they are never good enough. The child may score 90%, but instead of appreciation, the parent asks, "Where did the other 10% go?" Over time, the child feels unloved and burdened. But if ambition is balanced with appreciation, the parent can say, "I'm proud of you for scoring 90%. You worked hard. Let's see how we can improve further." That balance motivates instead of discourages. Ambition alone often blinds us. We are so focused on what is next that we forget what is now. For example, someone buys their first house, and instead of celebrating, they immediately start thinking of a bigger house. Or someone finally buys the car they dreamed of, but within weeks, they start eyeing the next model. This endless cycle steals joy. Appreciation means pausing to say, "Once a monk was asked, 'What is happiness?' He smiled and said, 'It is nothing but good health and a bad memory.'" So pause for laughter. Health means take care of your body. Bad memory means forget the hurts and grudges. If we can do these two things and add gratitude, service, forgiveness, and consistency, then happiness will no longer be a visitor in your life. It will become a permanent resident. So my friends, don't wait for happiness. Don't search for it outside. Push yourself to create it inside every single day, because life is too short to be anything but happy.